Hello everybody, I'm Robert Tusardi, the creator of Blockchain Kingdoms. We turn video gaming into passive income and paid work. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Enjin Coin. They just dropped a bunch of bombs about how their platform is going to let you earn passive income using staking. So I'm really excited about this. My company, Blockchain Kingdoms, we are creating video games that you can earn our gaming coins, and you can earn those by using our job tokens. You can then loan those job tokens to other players, and you can earn income, essentially passive income and revenue. We're really super excited for the platform. You can also use your own tokens on our platform and earn. We have some major announcements coming soon about our 5 versus 5 MOBA that is in development. But really I'm here to talk about Enjin Coin and share some really exciting things with you, because it could also mean some really awesome things for our business. All right, so what happened today? March 31st, 2021. Enjin released this. This is the first we're hearing of a bunch of this. But here the headline is introducing Efinity NFT blockchain on Polkadot. So that's a couple of massive bombs right there. Number one, in Efinity is now its own blockchain. So we didn't necessarily know this, that Efinity was going to be its own blockchain. It totally makes sense. Many of us probably already knew this is going to be the thing. But yeah, Efinity is its own blockchain. But not only that, it's its own blockchain on the Polkadot network. So when I look up Polkadot on CoinGecko, it shows up as number 6 in terms of crypto market caps. So that means that Polkadot, you could say, is the 6th largest blockchain network right now on the internet. So Efinity was part of the number 2 network, which is Ethereum, but we all know that Ethereum's had lots of gas prices. If you want to buy something using Ethereum, whether it's, if it's a crypto, it could cost you anywhere between $5 to $30, depending on what you're doing with it. If you want to trade something on OpenSea, it can cost you anywhere between $50 to $100 sometimes with gas fees. It's a lot of money. Everyone's basically losing a lot of potential profits right now because of gas fees on Ethereum. So Efinity is moving here to Polkadot network, which is ranked number 6 in market caps, and you could say that makes it rank number 6 in size of network. I mean, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, right? I don't know how big the Polkadot network is, but we can just guesstimate just from here, without me researching that right now, the size of the Polkadot network, that it's looking pretty good. Another term that's being used is a parachain. So Efinity's blockchain is going to be a parachain, which basically means that it operates on the Polkadot network, but it is its own blockchain as well. I think they chose this because it opens it up to use many other different blockchains efficiently using Polkadot. So this announcement has all kinds of awesome things announced from here, the Polkadot ecosystem essentially broadening the possibilities, synergy between EFI and Enjin. EFI is a new token from them, staking. I'm going to cover all of that in this video. I also read the white paper, so I have some really juicy information from the white paper. So basically, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research, make your own decisions. So Enjin's new token is called EFI, and EFI is basically going to be like the money currency of the platform. It's also going to be the currency used to make transactions on the network. So here's another massive bomb that Enjin is dropping, and that's passive income earning. They're turning the entire Efinity platform into a platform for passive income using NFTs and their tokens. And essentially what they've done is you have the Enjin token. You can think of the Enjin token as kind of like a base material. In order to create an Enjin token or an NFT, so if someone like Snoop Dogg wants to make a NFT, he will have to use some Enjin token to mint that NFT. So it's kind of like a base material that is used to create that NFT. And you can think of it kind of like gold that is used to make a ring or something. And the other thing about that is that it can then be melted down again from the NFT back into whatever the base material was. So those tokens aren't lost in that process. But what it does is it adds all kinds of incentives to hold the token because it has a base ENJ. Most NFTs I've seen don't hold a lot of ENJ, but there's no set amount on how much ENJ tokens an NFT can hold. It could hold like $100 worth. It can hold at $1 worth. It can hold like $1 million worth of Enjin tokens. It's really up to whoever creates it. So the other cool thing is that just by holding that token, you can earn EFI. So that is essentially the money currency token and the transaction currency token of the Efinity platform. So just by buying an NFT, let's say it has 5 ENJ in it, you will actually earn 15% APY of Efinity on that token. So that is yearly. That is 15% yearly. So if you are holding a lot of ENJ, this is an incentive to hold your ENJ. And what they've basically tried to make it do, to put it simply, is if you have ENJ or Enjin or a token or whatever, they made it very easy for you to be able to stake it, whatever ENJ or token that you have, and earn passive income on that token, or the amount of ENJ you have. You can essentially stake it to a node, and that then earns you the 50% APY. So if you're like, hey, Robert, I'm not all that technical, this stuff sounds really scary, I think they're going to make it incredibly easy on the platform. So when you go on the platform, I think it'll almost be invisible. Like you'll essentially be able to buy your NFTs, and then in the background there'll be an area that says, oh, here's the amount of passive income you've earned, and you're like, oh, look, I've earned like 10 EFI this month. Just by holding a couple of NFTs that I purchased. The other thing is the EFI token will not only be like a money currency token and a token used for transactions, it's also going to be a governance token. So what that means is that you can essentially use the EFI token to help vote for changes on the platform or possible changes on the platform. You can use it to have a say on what happens with Efinity. Enjin did tell us that Efinity was going to be like a feeless platform, and I knew that sounded a little too good to be true. So there are fees, but it depends kind of on the project that you're trading with. What can happen is developers can come in and they can essentially put in fuel into like a fuel pod. I think they called it a fuel pod. And so if you're like in Lost Relics, and Lost Relics, the video game, has put in like $1,000 worth of fuel pod, essentially EFI into its fuel pod, that means that there's $1,000 can be transacted on that network, or essentially on those transactions of those NFTs, without the users having to pay money. So you might ask, well, why would a developer do that? Why would a developer not just force the the people who want the tokens to pay the fees? And the answer is because you can actually earn passive income by staking into that fuel pod. So this is more important for the developers, right? Like, why would I stake the money into it? But so there might not be any fees depending on what project you're on. If you're using like Microsoft's Minecraft and you're buying Enjin NFTs or trading Enjin NFTs, instead of paying for those fees, Microsoft might instead decide to make it so you don't have to pay fees. And they'll do that by basically loading up a giant fuel pod full of EFI tokens, and as you trade your items, it will be subtracted from that. And in exchange, Microsoft will essentially earn a staking revenue from having put all of those EFI tokens into that giant fuel pod. So I think it's better for like larger projects. If a small project really can't afford to put a lot in there, or maybe it's an incentive too. Some projects might see it as an incentive. So in the end, I don't know, what it looks like in terms of fees on the platform. Right now, it seems to me a little iffy. Will you have to pay fees? Will you not have to pay fees? What will they be? I imagine the demand's not going to be anywhere close to the Ethereum network. Here it says the Ethereum network currently runs at around 15 transactions per second. Efinity will process up to 700 to 1,000 transactions per second. So I'm not going to do the math here in my head, but that's a multitude, right? So I imagine unless there's an insane amount of transactions happening on the network, you're probably really not going to be paying much in transaction fees at all if you have to pay transaction fees. So all the ways to earn EFI, Efinity is to hold your NFTs. Also, you can bid on NFTs. Just by bidding on NFTs, you can earn passive income. And I think they've done this because they realized that if you take some of your Efinity or your Enjin, and then you've taken it out of the possibility of being, if you've taken the NG out of the possibility of being an NFT or being staked to one of the nodes to earn passive income, they're like, well, you still want to earn based on those tokens, right? So just by the process of bidding, you can earn on those NFTs. So you could leave a bid up for a couple of months, and you will still earn passive income for having that bid up, similarly to as if you had those tokens placed somewhere else in an NFT or staked to a node. So they, that's how they're trying to solve that. So for developers, you can create these fuel pods and earn on your staking. So another thing is they want to improve liquidity. So what they've done is they've said they've come up with a system, because if you've used something like OpenSea, you'll notice sometimes like, hey, like I have a bunch of Ethereum and I want to buy an NFT, but the NFT says it only accepts ENJ. What if you don't have ENJ right now? You only have Ethereum. Well, now you have to go to an exchange and you have to swap your your Ethereum for ENJ. Then you go back into OpenSea and then you buy. But what if somebody bought it between then? And then you're like, well, that sucks. So what they've done is they've said they want to improve liquidity by making it easy to buy and sell between tokens. So if somebody has something offered in ENJ but you only have Ethereum, it'll easily be able to make that transaction happen. I'm still not exactly sure how that functions, because I imagine if it's accessing, say, the Ethereum network, you're still going to have to pay Ethereum fees, but maybe that's again where the fuel pod stuff comes in. Again, that's why I think that the fee thing's a little iffy. Like, where do you pay for fees and not, and how much? I imagine if you're still accessing the Ethereum network and fees are still crazy, you're still going to pay those crazy fees. But which is kind of the whole point of those, getting onto something like Efinity and using EFI and ENJ, is so you don't have to pay these crazy fees anymore. All right, so another cool thing is crafting is coming to the Efinity platform. This is probably more of a developer thing, but they'll be able to essentially create it so you can take multiple Enjin NFTs and merge them together into a new item. I'm not necessarily sure I can exactly see the purpose for this, but I think it sounds pretty cool, and there's a lot of possibilities there. So another cool thing for developers mostly, which is token bonding curves. This is huge because our project, Blockchain Kingdoms, will use a kind of token bonding curve for the sale of our seed tokens, which are part of our job token economy. So essentially what it means is that the more a token is purchased, the higher its price can go. And it can also go in a curve, so it doesn't have to be linear. It can be like in the beginning, maybe they're kind of cheap, but then as more get bought, essentially the steepness of the price increases. You're able to kind of dictate those things on a token bonding curve. So this opens up a lot of possibilities. So someone could come in and be like, hey, I want to buy the Snoop Dogg NFT for like $5, and then whoever buys it after you has to pay $10, and the person after that has to pay $20, and the person after that has to pay like $50. So it allows that to happen, and I think it can create kind of like a natural price increase for items as they're purchased. I actually think this is a great idea for possibly lots of NFTs and projects. All right, so lastly, I'm going to talk about a price prediction that I'm going to put out there for ENJ. By the end of the month of April, I think it's probably going to hit $5, but I don't think it's actually going to hang out at $5. I think it's probably going to dip after it gets $5. There's been a lot of talk lately about whether or not we're in a blockchain bubble. The stock market had a major pullback recently, and now it's kind of back on its way back up, and people are starting to wonder, is blockchain becoming a bubble? And I don't know for certain, but I do notice, the volatility in the market. Sometimes you'll see ENJ jump up 20%. You actually saw ENJ maybe about a week ago hit $2.45. and then it almost immediately plummeted that same day, in the span of like 7 hours or so, back down to $2. So I was really surprised by that. Some speculators are like, "Ooh, we got some profit, we got out." So while I do think this space is growing huge, I do want everyone to be aware that there will be profit taking as these things continue to rise. I heard some advice lately from another blockchain guy. He was saying, "Hey, if something you have triples in value, it's probably a good time to exit from that asset." So I'm going to pass that information along to you. I think it's all kind of relative to when you bought it, but I think as these gaming tokens do continue to rise, there will be profit taking, and it's something to look out for. We saw that when I made that video where Enjin hit $3, and I literally posted the video that same day, and then over the course of a week or two, it went back down to $2. So we saw profit taking there as well. In the long run, I think these things are just going to keep going up and up. I think this could potentially 5x by the end of the year. It's coming out on April 6th. I don't know if we're going to see a massive jump between now and the April 6th release. The more I'm looking at the way the market's moving, I'm really not necessarily sure if launching is going to be the major news that really pumps Enjin. However, just looking at what is happening with Enjin and its token and its technology, I would not be surprised to see some major AAA companies come out in April and say that they're now supporting the Enjin Efinity platform coming out later this year. We've already seen Microsoft do it, and I think this really can't be forgotten by people who are holding Enjin, is because we do have Microsoft supporting the platform, and that's massive with particularly Minecraft, and who knows what else Microsoft is going to bring. I mean, they got the Xbox platform, right? How far are we from the Xbox coming and saying, "Hey, we're now supporting NFTs, and we're using Efinity as a platform"? I think that's an extremely high possibility because they're already using Minecraft for it. And I think in the month of April and June, there's a very strong possibility we're going to start to see some AAA game companies come out and say that they have chosen to use Efinity. And there's just so much incentive for developers to use Efinity. Blockchain Kingdoms, we're not necessarily sure if we're going to use Efinity yet. We got to sort of talk about the technology, but we like a lot of things about it. And our job tokens are kind of special, so we kind of need to talk about our marketplace and how things are working out. But we are invested a bit in Enjin. So lastly, you might be wondering how do you get a hold of EFI, the Efinity token? Well, it's not for public sale yet. Today, they also announced that they sold about $18 to $19 million in a private sale that was facilitated by Crypto.com. And so that was pretty massive news. And they also Enjin made a Twitter tweet that said that the public sale was going to be next. They didn't say when, they just said next. So the EFI token will be put on sale at some point. I don't know when, but I mean, these are some major, massive bombs. I feel like most of us won't even really understand the the full impact that this will have on the NFT space until we start to see a bunch of these AAA companies come on board and say like, hey, like now this is sustainable, which is why I think a lot of the AAA game companies have not come on board, is because they would look at the fees and things and they'd be like, that's not sustainable. We can't get involved with that. But if Efinity delivers on all of its promises and essentially you're paying just a couple of cents or less per transaction, I think we're going to see the AAA companies start to load in and be like, actually, we're going to be using Efinity to facilitate our NFT marketplace for this game, for that game, for Elder Scrolls, for all the whatever game is out there. I think the massive adoption of NFTs is probably going to happen on the Enjin platform. There's another one called Ecomi that I just started to look into, and I ignored them before because I didn't understand the technology. I looked at the technology and I was like, this doesn't look like it's doing anything. Nobody's really watching their videos on YouTube, and apparently I was just looking in the wrong places because apparently Ecomi, it was like in the top 50s, 60s of cryptos, and I was like, why? The token is OMI, and I was like, why is it so high? Like, I don't see anything good about this. And then eventually heard, oh, the NFL was using it, and I was like, what does that mean? So I looked it up, and actually OMI, that it's going to be essentially the technology used on an app called VEVE, and VEVE has licenses with DC Comics, NFL, apparently all kinds of major licenses, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense. I was just looking in the wrong place. So I mean, if you were to ask me, hey Robert, what are your top major gaming projects to keep track of for especially for NFTs, I would say number one, Enjin will probably be the BTC of Bitcoin of NFTs. I know someone who's been commenting on our channels who like that. I reiterated that comment that he's been making. The other one is Gala Games. It's way earlier. It's much different. They're mainly focused on kind of creating their own games and partnerships, but I wouldn't necessarily call it an NFT platform as much as a gaming coin investment, and they do have NFT items. And the third one would be OMI, which is, Ecomi. The token is OMI. And just launched on Uniswap a couple of minutes ago, actually. I was watching the timer go down, and so, and that's the one that is being supported in the VEVE platform, where people will be able to trade these major licensed NFTs and collectibles and buy and trade them. So I also can't forget Wax. You can use Wax on Atomic Assets. It is also rising pretty fast in terms of cryptos, rank for 141. This is more for people who are kind of into maybe like Street Fighter and like collectible cards. Seems like the collectible card crowd is actually really huge here with Wax. It is kind of like on its own chain, which has actually been the number one reason why I haven't gotten involved yet. I wanted to get involved with Wax last week, but I've just been hit with a lot of things for my company, Blockchain Kingdoms, and I've not yet been able to really dip my toes into this yet. But this is probably on many of your radar, and if you're really dedicated to getting into the NFT space, I would advise researching this one as well. And there's many other games out there, Axie Infinities and things like that. But I'm all about, like, you know, the potential for massive growth, and I think those are the three ones that are going to be huge. On Saturday, April 10th, is not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, we are going to be holding an AMA for Blockchain Kingdoms. We're going to be talking about major news regarding our 5 versus 5 MOBA. We're going to be talking about our job token technology and answering any questions that you have for us during our AMA. Again, that is Saturday, April 10th at 1 p.m. PST. And we are looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Robert Trussardi, creator of Blockchain Kingdoms. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.